I was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Bet a bug harvest wealth, that's a lie. They spin, I sign my soul away just to let the wolf in. First surge was surgical, a chemical high. Now I'm chasing goals across a blue-lit sky. Claimed I wasn't desperate, then I liquidated life. That's how a man turns a future into a knife. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Then the screen bled black with a velvet sheen, a loading bar stuttering predatory. Pick a silhouette of words and a pinch drop of whistles, with a voice like a grift and a tongue full of whistles. Salutations, he hissed, I'm down here. Hard to check the craving and I engineer the high. You've been mainlining hope on a high, it's low. Now I've come to repossess everything you own. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Austerity's recreation, control. Peter I've got a message from the very she's soul. My son's merged with power is a relic. He sneered with a grin. I've mapped every fracture and I'm calling right in. One tap for the needle, two taps for the rope, three taps to trade your rent for a thimble of hope. Yeah, I know the gates are clear, but my brother Chris Simmons, no one trying to cut the fellas. Small but my status, so the folks see his fellas. The dentist for the bank, it wasn't meant of first chance. And this wasn't to a dentist, and the Lord's paid. The house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You won't play in the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Offer the promise of venomous levy, wager your survival, that's the only cure. I force a hollow laughter, mask the mountain dread, while the digits in my balance turn to violent red. Offending the streets of my heart and the truth, baby, I get shot by the plane of the rules. Just the zombies and my bird is on the chain. It was a cheat, it's just the birds and the earth. The secret problem, not the penis. It's a chowing in the beetle that I wasn't calling it sport. And body of your walls in the light. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You won't play in the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. The exorcism, the hard-earned truth, kill the app, break the cycle, reclaim your youth. If the threat feels like a parasite feeding on your chest, it's a hijack house and uninvited guest.
Well, and a very good morning, everyone. I hope all is well for you this Sunday, February the 8th, 2026, aka Super Bowl Sunday. And I'm finding myself in a weird conundrum here. What's the weird conundrum, Jim? I just noticed. See, now I moved everything so that whenever I was looking at the screen for like info, news, whatever, I moved it from over here to over here. But when I look now, it once again looks like I'm looking off the screen. That's crazy. So something went wonky. But that's okay. We don't mind wonky. So now what I'm going to do then, let me do a quick adjustment. You won't even really notice, I don't think. And if you get a little vertigo, my apologies. Because that is not my intent. I don't like giving anyone vertigo, especially myself. So now that I've done this, now when son of a gun, it's kind of doing the same damn thing. I don't know. You know what? It's Sunday morning. Sunday mornings are great for resets. And with resets and getting ready for the week, let me kind of adjust that. That's kind of driving me just a little crazy with the framing. Man, going to be a gorgeous day, though. My goodness, for all that once was, not too terribly long ago, the winter apocalypse of 2026, which again, there are a lot of folks who did get impacted in other parts of the state of Arkansas and of course around the country. I do not downplay that because the weather is different for everyone no matter where you go. However, here it was a lot of snow, thankfully no ice, only the slightest amount of sleet that kind of hopped in between like 4-inch layers. So, but it wasn't a big deal. And of course, all the local municipality resources, those folks, people, the real resources, they did the thing and they did it very well. And they cleared the streets fast and everything got back to the normalish as you could be normal in this day and age now. So that was pretty cool. So now I'm back over here looking at this screen, which I think I see what the problem is. So what I'm going to try while I'm just sitting here, let me give you the, we'll go back into our Don't Gamble song because it could like make bad things happen for you. Anyway, let me switch something out real quick.
I was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Better buck, harvest wealth, that's a lie. They spin, I sign my soul away just to let the wolf in. First surge was surgical, a chemical high. Now I'm chasing goals across a blue-lit sky. Claimed I wasn't desperate, then I liquidated life.
All right, well, that was a fun experiment that I don't think is quite right because now I'm looking up at you. Which at the same time, I do look up to you. I appreciate you being here doing the thing with me of a morning. So that was kind of, I don't know. It's kind of funny. Okay, now the reason why everything is like way out of sorts this morning is last night, right about 5:30, I had gotten a call from Shanika, who is the GM out at the 1929 Hotel Seville, and all that is, including the grill at the Seville. And man, she does a great job managing people. And that is, as you know, if you've ever done it, not an easy task. And again, but the crew there is something truly worth. If there's anything in the world to like go, dude, this is a place you want to check out, is because of the staff, because they really are amazing. Good morning to you, my dear Gar the Ghoul. And apologies, I wound up getting called out last night, and that's what I was kind of talking about when it came to like the setup looking wonky this morning. Is I got called out just kind of last minute to like shoot some video stuff over at the hotel, and I haven't done that in so long. Like okay, because I was going to shoot some of the music stuff, right? And I put it up on the Facebook as far as like the phone camera live stream stuff. You talk about a great band, the house band led by the hotel's owner, family tradition. Yeah, okay. So Michael Hosier is the grand poobah, right? I say it like that, but Mike's a great guy, and I say that with the most utmost sincerity I can put into anything, because he's again, we're just now getting to know each other, but every day and every turn that comes, I'm finding that in this instance, my instincts are serving me well. And he is just a genuinely good guy, and his wife is a sweetheart, and his son, great kid. And the staff there at the hotel and the bar and grill and everything tip to top, just really, I am truly grateful and thankful to be involved in this project. I can't stress that enough. So, yep. But anyway, it's been a good day. Today is my Sunday reset day, where I will be kind of getting some things reorganized, since I moved everything last night, so I could run out and do that, which I was very glad to do. The one thing I got to move is this damn pillow. And it's so funny. It's like, it's not that I need a pillow to sit on per se, but the chair in which I sit is a very old chair. And I've had the opportunity to replace the chair for a long time, but I didn't. And then my brother-in-law, it was a couple Christmases ago. Anyway, he had got myself and my father-in-law new chairs, right? And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. But it's a great chair. It really is. It's a great chair. But it didn't quite feel quite right. So now Alicia has adopted, AKA commandeered, said chair. And it's at her desk in her office area of the house. And it suits her so well. And it's white. So she's like riding on a cloud all the time. So anyway, me though, I still like this old busted one. That it came originally from TKO8 television many years ago. And good golly, I need to change it out. I really do, but and it's not some kind of like really nostalgic near and dear. This chair is so the throne of creation. No, it's just finding one that feels comfortable to start with. And Yeah, see, they need them, right? Yeah, see, I uh I just don't know. I need to change it out though because again, it's just getting a little too unmanageable. Let me see what happens. Because like the little hydraulic, as you saw there, boom, I'm up into the stars now. It just slowly inches, or millimeter downs throughout like the span of a day. Doesn't like drop or anything, but anyway, it's a good thing. Okay, once again, this camera is so high. Hello there. May I have another, Mrs. Scrooge? I don't know. Yeah, so a little Stafford bit, cool. Sorry, I hate that I missed it though. But again, I got called out at the kind of the 0 hour on things because I was looking forward to a night of horrible horror because I've come once again to remember and realize how refreshing that break is that you offer from all of the regular reality that's out there. But again, I gotta say, and this is not a plug thing. One of the cool things in this particular experience and going down this new chapter is that I don't have to be on. You know, now last night I did do an on thing because I haven't done it in well over a year now, well over a year. Where on Saturday nights I would walk around the downtown Harrison Square, kind of just, hey, just kind of a how do, how are you, and what all's going on downtown, and it was a lot of fun. And I kind of find out a lot of people liked it and appreciated it more than I realized because I was just kind of doing it, just say, hey, come on over here and play. But people got to where they were really enjoying it. And last night, all things considered, from everything that's transpired since 2024, and now that I'm getting back out into the world of doing things publicly, I wanted to. I kind of needed to do that. Now, will I do that every Saturday night? I don't know. I can't say. But last night was important. If you watch it, you might get the vibe of it. If you get it, you'll get it. You know, that type of thing. Oh, cool. So the archive, yep, I will definitely check that out at some point because again, today is I got my pile of notes, which they've actually kind of stacked up because I got a lot of notes here, right? And I like to kind of go through them on a Sunday, kind of weed through, see what stuck and was good that needs to continue on or be revisited or pitched. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do today. And I'm also going to again, now this back here, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of crap, Jim. Yes, it is. If you saw what was on the other side of the camera, you'd be like, get help now, sir, please. And I will help myself in that. So that's good on my plan of action and attack on getting things just a little bit more ergonomically friendly and very focused in on what I am working on now. Because again, I created, or I found, discovered, unearthed a system for myself to like be able to stay focused and not go all over the place willy nilly because I enjoy a lot of things. I like learning on a daily basis. And if my opinion is the best lived life is the one where you learn a little something every day, no matter what it is, even if it's like how that half a scoop of coffee for the final little dip in for the pot is that last thing you needed to make the perfect pot of coffee with your particular maker. And then remember that as you move forward in life and you have a perfect pot of coffee every single morning. However, full disclosure, still use the little Keurig pods because I like those too. Ah, they don't do a shredder thing. It's like I don't have anything that um, needs to be secured, you know. But then again, I like the paper shredders. I think they're kind of cool because the way they shred the paper and everything, and then you like have this big mountain of uh, paper hay or tumbleweeds you could make and roll across the floor when things are slow. And then it's no longer slow because you're playing with your giant paper mache tumbleweeds that you can throw across the floor. Yeah, and do that. Yeah, it's so funny to have those systems, man. Like I say, mine are simple. A three-pillar system that anchors me back in. Again, one product, that's it. That's all I got to sell the world, the universe, or anything else as far as a physical thing or digital now. But that's the book. Whoop, wait, right back there. And so, and that'll be there forever and for always. And that's been a really cool thing because also in doing the book, not only did I get to share a message that I wanted to share, but I also learned the process of being able to do that in the modern era to where you don't have to wait on a publisher to say yes to you. And you also don't have to fork out a ginormous amount of money to self-publish a book. So again, added another one of those little things to the skill stack that hopefully if someone ever asks, I can help them do it. And literally just put it together. So here you go. Do it like this and it'll work. Promise. How do I know? Because I just did it. And then, of course, the service, because everybody's got to pay rent to stay on the planet. And that is with the Evergreen Content Engine, which has now evolved as things do and is awesome. This is why it's like every day learn something, create something. Because with the Evergreen Content Engine, as it's kind of evolved in naming, it has now become a bedrock for what I'm building in this marketing promotion space for the hotel. Because now I'm not rebranding, it's just a new level of things called the AMP Network System. AMP Network System, app for the company, Advertising, Marketing, Promotions, Media, Multimedia LLC, but then also a system to where you're working very intently on doing something in a manner that for marketing and promotion purposes and advertising, but for those intents and purposes are based in evergreen content. Because again, you got to do this stuff for like tonight, tomorrow, but to have the content that we all have to create now to get the word out about things, the when you can focus in on things that have your message having legs longer than just those once upon a time ago, throw it out into the ether after it broadcasts stuffs. It's very important now. It's crucial. I mean, again, this isn't about making a pitch. This is about watching and seeing how things work. And it's all changed a lot. Everything fundamentally is still the same. Your message and your word of mouth stuff is going to be the biggest thing that gets you around. But you can't have either one of those unless you have sincerity and authenticity in all that you do and you put out, And so from the business side of things is to help people, well, for me to capture what they have to offer there, right? People buy help. So when you buy help, I help people package it up because sometimes it's just really hard to say how you help. You get caught up in the process of, like, say, if you're in retail or you offer a service, a physical service, or even a digital service, whatever, that you can get caught up in so much of that process that you kind of lose target of the mission, if you will. And that's why, like, right now, because I'm still working on the course itself. Excuse me, because again, I go with the flow more so than just forcing anything these days. But I do have like an introductory thing that's like totally free to the world. All they gotta do is give me an email address because I don't gotta do that much. I mean, Jesus Christ, if you give everything away, just well, come on. But it's not a paywall. It's just an email collector, and I don't sell it or anything like that. And outside of when the full course actually goes live, there won't be any like just random willy-nilly emails for me. Maybe I'm thinking about doing like a newsletter that could be like just a weekly motivator bump type thing. But again, not a paid thing, just something to encourage people because we need encouragement without having to pay for it all the damn time, right? That's what I think. So anyway, but the free authority and recording guide is already out there. It just takes an email at evergreenpillars.com. I got it linked out in some other places. But again, that's the service that has now evolved into the AMP network system. And and I'm implementing that now for the 1929 Hotel Seville. We want you here. Pretty happy with that branding campaign I'm putting together. So anyway, yeah. Kind of catching up on the comments to anyone who's just looking. You should always read the comments on these videos because with Gar, he is like the best co-host on the planet, and with Damien, he is like the next bestest co-host on the planet in adding to the conversation, which I haven't seen him this morning, but I might be sleeping in. There's no shame in that on a Saturday. You probably wore him out last night, dude, over at Horrible Horror. Well, good morning, Damien. Glad to see that you made it. Well, that's an interesting proposition there, because as we all know, when it comes to Superman's costume, well, it's kind of funny because like the lore kind of goes a little back and forth on it, because like TV Superman the costume was made from a blanket. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but in the original Adventures of Superman with George Reeve and his mom It was so funny because in that one scene where they did an origin story, little throwback with Clark getting on the bus to go to Metropolis from Smallville, and his mom handed him his suitcase and said, I made you an outfit from the blankets in the ship that you came in. But how'd she cut it? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. How does she sew it? I'm just suspend belief, or suspend your disbelief, or whatever. But anyway, but again, it was the same. It was that Kryptonian material. But then I remember reading in another comic at one point that it was more about the anything that was tight to his skin. That's why it had to be tight, right? So it was like tight. And so in that, it wasn't that the material was invulnerable, but it was just so tight to him that it couldn't get jacked up because it was so tight to him, who is invulnerable. So there you go. Yeah, so and that's the thing though. It's like if 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 how did she do it? How did she tear it down to where she could turn it into an outfit? Oh, the ongoing paradoxes and parallaxes and ironies of things. I don't know. Yeah, but here's the thing: if it's an indestructible blanket, how does one cut it? Did she have like some kryptonite scissors that she kept hid from Clark? And then when she would tell Clark, "Don't run with those scissors, boy," she was serious. It wasn't just like old wives' tale, freaking kids out. Don't run with scissors. Like, no, these are kryptonite scissors, Clark. And I know that you can bench press a truck, but these scissors, if you run with them and slip, it can actually kill you, Clark. So I don't know. We go there. See, I hadn't seen that story. That the cloth was cut with a piece of glass from Clark's spaceship. Okay, all right. How did the glass break? Huh? Oh, we could go on and on and on down this rabbit hole, and that's all right. Yeah, and then sew it up. Did she again? Was it like a kryptonite needle? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But there's a fan fiction thing that someone could feel a little ambitious and make an AI film of. Knock yourself out. Do a Superman uh, origin story, kind of filling in the holes, like because that's like the Star Wars stuff. I don't know if you guys are following that, but like Star Wars Untold and some of the other YouTube channels, they're doing some pretty impressive AI work um, with Star Wars lore stuff, and they're kind of like the stories are just kind of filling in holes more so than from what I've seen, more so than news stories. So, which I'm good with that. I'm okay. It's like, all right, that's their take on what was happening between scene A and scene B in the movie, like showing Battlefront, first person accounts of what's happening during the Battle of Hoth or on in Return of the Jedi and the Battle of Endor, and those things, and getting those different on the ground perspectives from not even side characters, but the background characters who are the ones who are the grunts who are getting blown away by the Empire in this big rebellion for freedom to the galaxy. Um, I don't know, but anyway, it's been interesting watching that stuff. And from a fan standpoint, again, the way I see it, the AI tools in that capacity and making these, in essence, fan films, they're just playing with digital action figures. And instead of just having the battle on the floor or outside with your buddies or whatever else you're doing, you're 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 looking at the screen and you're taking those little digital avatars, action figures, and playing out the story in a very sophisticated way. So it is what it is. Again, I'm past the point of any of the tool aspects being anywhere near bad because people are going to do it anyway. It's like there are plenty of people with an iPhone that will shoot video that I find reprehensible. But you know what? It's out there. It is what it is. I don't have to look at it. If it does come up, I can get out of there quick. But it is what it is. It's just the perils of life. You're not going to be safeguarded from everything. And there are some gems in there too. Again, whenever that weekend we went and saw the new Avatar 3 Electric Boogaloo Juju. Um, but right before we left, I came into contact with the whole Star Wars Beggar's Canyon story. That was like the first better AI. And I'm watching 1980 1980 Mark Hamill playing Luke Skywalker. And I was like, because it's really, really good. It's like all the texture and the skin and all the acting's still not there, but close enough to like go, whoa. So to go watch the big blue people on the screen having their high drama moments was nowhere near as impressive as seeing 1980 Mark Hamill playing out a new Star Wars story. So call me crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah, the looms. Everybody loves a loom. How loomy are you? You loomy tune? I'll stop. That wasn't that funny. But yeah, 22 minutes into the 8 o'clock hour, 39 on the thermometer outside. Clouds are abound, but it's like tomorrow's going up into the 70s. Let me double check that forecast because it's going to be just straight up gorgeous here in the Ozarks. It's like spring already, which means we might get slapped with one more cold front thing. But yeah, so like today we're getting up to 67. Good foosball weather for folks out there. And then Monday in the 70s, actually 73 on Monday, 71 on Tuesday. That it dips back down to like 59 on Wednesday. But on the whole, it's like spring is sprung. So that'd be what it is. I honestly have gotten to the point now I don't care about the weather. I look out the window and it's either sunny or not, and it's either raining or not, and I will dress accordingly. And that's about the best I got. So there it is. Mm. Oh yeah, Shadows of the Empire. That was the story in between Empire and Jedi. That was fantastic. It was initially started as a video game, and it was for the Nintendo 64 at the time. I think it was the debut platform. So anyway, but it was, I've got it over here actually. I don't really play games. I'd like to. I sometimes did back in the day, but I've never been a big video game guy. I like puzzle games on my phone, but not a big one. Anyway, Shadows of the Empire was a great story. So they wrote the story for the game, so the game had something to go with, and then took the story and turned it into a novel, Shadows of the Empire, and it's a damn good read. I highly recommend it to anyone. And then I did see, and I don't know where he's at now, which I know this guy has got to be just a little, I don't know, maybe he's frustrated with the advancement in technology, or maybe he's grateful that it's there now. But anyway, there's a guy on YouTube that actually adapted the novel and started creating an animated version of Shadows of the Empire. This is pretty good. It's pretty entertaining, right? He had real people voicing the roles and everything. It's more block animation more so than just flowing animation, but it still tells the story great. And he hadn't finished it yet. But again, you can't fault the guy because again, he was doing it like in the old school manner of analog to digital creations. But now the AI can fill in a lot of that heavy lifting stuff. But if you like orchestrating all of those analog to digital stuffs, the art there you may not want to get away from. But at the same time, it will be a lot easier to adapt the novel into a screenplay to then in turn build out your storyboards and put together a watchable film. So it's interesting times. It really is. And it's a creation thing. And I see fellow I had a conversation with many, many years ago now, 2010 actually. So I guess that's 16 years ago. I had interviewed a fellow by the name of Jay Piscopo. Now, Jay Piscopo, no relation to the Joe Piscopo, but Jay Piscopo, he was the creator of Captain X and Nemo. And he was one of the first folks to re-embrace using the 8-inch Mego style of figures, right? And he had worked with Paul Clark with MC Toys, aka Dr. Mego, and he created a good handful of the Commander X toys or figures using Superman, right? The Mego Superman, they just put the black mask on him, whited out the eyes, and had a little, the mustache, but it was a great line. It was a lot of fun. And then also his own character, Sea Ghost, got the brand new Miko treatment then. Okay, so and it was great. And but Captain Nemo, he had created that based upon, I do believe it was with a local root beer brewery up there in Massachusetts, I believe. Pardon me, Jay, if I skipped anything there. Anyway, but he did his, it was all, he was an artist who did great things and great story and fun stuff. Um, but over the past few years, I've seen him on Facebook again and using the AI tools and people giving him grief because it's like he was an early adopter of using the AIs as tools, and people started just giving him grief and grief and grief. And so again, I can't read anyone's mind, but a lot of the things that his arguments that he puts out is like, dude, just get over yourself. The AI is here; it's not going away, and it's an augmentation tool. It doesn't replace anyone. It's just like, think about it. If you're still with a pen in hand and a piece of paper and you're sketching out your creations and such, that's great. Now, if it's going to stay on that piece of paper, but if it's going to go from that piece of paper to any other medium that exists now or 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago, guess what? You had to do something. And now because by up until the point of AI, everybody was still having to digitize their sketches to then in turn do all of the inking and coloring digitally so it could then be published, because we went from having to use the 4-color presses into prepping everything for digital going through the digital process for printing and publication. So and it is better. It just is. It's a learning curve, and most folks hate change and hate learning new things, but it's just true. So anyway, oh dude, if you didn't see the Commander X stuff, totally got to look it up, Gar. I know Captain Eli. That's right, Captain Eli, not Nero. Anyway, Captain Eli and Commander X. That was the name of the brand. I did a review on the Commander X figure, like the base one, many all those years ago. But yeah, but it was the Mego Superman head, and again, and he had a mask on and whited out the eyes, and then had the little mustache, and it worked, especially at that time, because you figure you're looking at 2010-ish, 2009, 2010. So the big resurgence and rebirth hadn't happened yet. So most people who would see it didn't even realize that that's what was going on there as far as but the see, there you go. There you go. Physical artist plus having to use the digital tools. And now with the AI can actually just move along things faster, because like with from a sketch, you can take your sketch, put it into say Nano Banana, which seems to be pretty good. Grok has come a long way in its image tool stuffs. But you could take your sketch and say, okay, I need you to define all the lines, maintain the original style and whatever, and guide it, and it's your inker right then and there, and then you can colorize as need be, and just tell it what to do. And again, you should never lose sight of the art aspect and the creation that you love, but know that the things that you don't love, you might be able to get a robot to do it. And I'm okay with that myself, because I personally enjoy pushing a button and then hot water goes through a pod that turns coffee grounds into wonderful coffee for me to imbibe and enjoy. And in doing so, I don't have to ground my own beans, and I get a fresh cup of coffee. I'm cool with it. And I don't have to make a whole pot. So I see, we embrace technology as we do, as we want to. Dude, by the time if you're going to wait to get a 3D printer, Gar, if you wait a couple years, it's probably going to get to the point when this is actually a conversation to seriously consider. Because in the future, again, the technology is only going to evolve and evolve and evolve and evolve with the things you can do, mainly at the home stuff, right? But now here's things going on. The government in certain places are starting to get involved. So this is not a good thing as far as I'm concerned. I see both sides of the argument, but I will absolutely go all in. Okay, here's the legislation that's being proposed, I know, in Washington State, to where for the sake of security, that's always a flag to me, security. But because with a 3D printer, you have the ability to print parts for things that can go boom, boom, right? Well, fine and dandy. So anyway, but also other things like there's right to repair issues. And I'd seen this when it came to, I think it's a suit involving John Deere, the tractor people, right? That the right to repair your John Deere tractor has to be approved through John Deere, your tractor. I mean, it's like in the same thing with like iPhones, especially iPhones are the worst. And this is why I never wanted to get into Apple products, because they're so damn proprietary with everything. Like with video, you have the .mov file, or extension codecs, whatever, encoder, that it was like an unnecessary inconvenience to like work with other pieces. If it wasn't an Apple codec encoder thing, then you would have to convert everything, and then you still had to, if you were going to use it in like any of the other stuffs, the more universal stuffs like JPEG and MP4 or AVI and WAVs, waves, all those files, they all played together nicely. But the Apple stuff was crap because you had to like convert and it was an unnecessary nightmare that at this point in time really doesn't matter. But I digress. Going back to the thing with the 3D printing legislation in Washington State, one of the things is now there are politicians in the government wanting to regulate what you can print. This is a big red flag to me because they need to mind their business. Period. Just because one person does something dumb, do not take it out on everyone else, right? That's kind of the thing. Locks keep the honest man honest. But to regulate, it's not good. It's just flat not good because you're getting into a thing where they're starting control. They're working once again to continue to control freedom of expression, freedom of creation, and all these things. Now, again, and as I've walked you guys through the processes, yes, you can take a copyrighted trademark intellectual property and clone it. Not even having the thing in hand, just having a picture and cloning it and turning it into a thing. There's piracy, right? Like copying music, ripping a CD, turning it into an MP3 that you can now then email to your buddies. Well, that's nothing new. It's no different than recording a song off of the radio, putting it onto a cassette, and then handing out copies of said same thing. You're not going to that type of thing. The people who are going to do it for the sake of profit are going to find a way to do it. You're not going to stop it, period. And so, but you regulate it through legislation that makes it a fine, a crime, jail time for you or I is absurd. It just is because, again, it's not like no matter how rampant it may run as a problem, like with music, the bottom line is you're not going to stop it. Because I find the when you look back on the Napster days and everybody was doing the file sharing and all this with music, and the music industry lost their mind and the artists lost their mind, rightfully so at the time, because that caused a ginormous shift and hit to the music industry, the business side of things. I get that. You want to preserve what you're doing. And when you're under the impression that your copyright is going to protect you, that's fantastic. And it still does. And you can still sue people. Fine. But when you get to the point where you're legislating everything, you're still not stopping anything at all. Because my thing was this is like, okay, if the this MP3 swapping thing is a problem, well, first thing, don't have an MP3 player available because the file is worthless without the player, right? Same thing can be said about cassettes. If you don't want people making copies of music on the radio just by holding the recorder up to the speaker, don't make the recorder available. Period, right? Which is still terrible. It is actually very, very terrible. But that's where we're going into the space of 3D printing now, to where they want to regulate and or track and trace the prints that you're downloading or that you're even creating yourself. And this is one of the things that was a byproduct of what I knew was a bad idea with everything being subscription based. Everything being subscription based and on the cloud versus having physical software on your machine that you could use offline. Um, they know everything that you do. And again, this isn't a matter of paranoia, it's a matter of over-regulation. So when we see these over-regulating things like this with 3D prints and 3D modeling and all of that, there's your slippery slope. So which in turn, then you have to look at, okay, well, like a 3D filament is to, we'll say pirating as the cassette was to recording off of the radio, right? Other than 3D filament used inside of the machines to make stuff is most certainly a better quality than an old crusty cassette. Clarify that. But it still all boils down to the models and things like that and the type of machine you're using and whatever. But it's a slippery slope that is going to continue to escalate because now the politicians want to keep you safe. We got to have security. No, we don't. Suck it up, buttercup. Get your own helmet, knee pads, and elbow pads and get out there and go for it. But that's another thing, a lot of things that people don't know. See, and that's the thing. There's just no way to truly where we are now in the digital world. You're not you're going to be hard pressed to ever protect an intellectual property um, completely. It's just not gonna, but you never could. You never could. Think of all the knockoff Nikes and Rolexes and everything else that's been knocked off by Chinese manufacturers or Indian manufacturers, and then they make their money, and then somebody says, "You better stop. We're going to sue you," because that's the first step you have to do. And then they stop, and then they move on to the next thing because they already made their money off the one. There it is. It's just a faster turnaround time, and there's just nothing you can do about it. Not really, other than understand it and work around it as best you can. But now here's the other side of the coin there is that now that everyone has access to this technology and everyone has access to all these platforms, the reality is there's so much. I mean, my gosh. I can't even, I don't even try to wrap my head around about how many independent musicians, aka musicians, are creating stuff and putting it out. And there they go. No gatekeepers. It's out there. They build a fan base, one clicking person at a time, and it either grows or it doesn't grow, finds its home, doesn't find its home. But you're not going to, there's billions, right, of songs and pictures and videos and everything else. You're never going to watch it all. You're never going to see it all. And so the business side of things is going to have a problem. But as far as the business side of things, you figure out where, okay, I wrote this song that I would like to make some money off of because if people like it, maybe they'll drop a tip. Like you go to the bar, you like the band, you drop a buck in the bucket. Fine. And that's about the best you got. You just got to figure out how do I make my bucket to where people can drop a buck in it. Like even in this podcast, in the description now, just as part of a system learning thing, you've got links to my websites and you've got a little tip jar thingy. Either somebody wants to or they don't. Is what it is. Because again, everything has evolved. But going back to the Napster thing, what I was going to say there is like, okay, Napster, file sharing, people ripping CDs, putting them on, sharing them with their buddies, or just the big sites like LimeWire that guaranteed you all kinds of viruses all the time. Um, but now you can go on YouTube and someone has uploaded a song, a video, an album in full. Now they're not able to monetize it apparently, or maybe they can. I don't know, but I do know if you are trying to monetize that stuff, YouTube will hit you with either a full-on strike or at least flag it so you can't be monetized on it. Me personally, if I use someone's registered ASCAP BMI copyrighted music, mine is not an intent to make any cash off of that, but it's to enhance part of a story that I'm telling. And I'm used to that in the world of broadcasting where we did have to report that and you paid those ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC fees so you didn't have to deal with those issues, right? Wasn't exactly a shakedown, but kind of a shakedown, but it wasn't like it was a terrible amount of money for the stations. But again, it's just more legalese that is just, it's a slippery slope, man. Because in a perfect world, to take the 40 best records of the week and then play them on the radio station so people in the audience tune in to listen to what those records are, but then they learn about those records and those artists could then in turn go to the record store and purchase the record. Now they could go and download the whole thing or whatever. But it's just snowballed into something that doesn't have that chain, you know, of order. Hear it on the radio, find out who it is, go to the record store, buy the record. Now that's fragmented all across so many different ways. But things just evolve like that. Is what it is. And in the digital space, what you gonna do when it's all ones and zeros inside of the matrix? I'm just saying. Ah da 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 da. Wait. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, checking out the comments here from Gar. Yeah. The thing is when it comes to like, let's see, how do we go here? Let's see. I'm kind of getting caught up real quick, boys. Um, let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Use the British East India Company model. It would put an end to patent infringement. I'm not familiar with it. Catch me up. Let's see, dogs. Those dogs got every protective shots they needed. No questions asked. Science, medicine. So parents not only put their kids at risk, but also other people. I heard about this popping up. I think maybe in Texas. I went to my doctors and got tested to make sure that. Well, so here's the thing: when it comes to modern medicine, okay, and the biggest problem there when it comes to, because like for instance, and this was our experience. Do it with it what you will. One of the things when it came to what they had done in the 2020 era and the things that were developed faster than is actually possible because they actually had them on a shelf and ready to go. That's a fact. You go back and you can watch the videos in 2017, 18, and 19 where they're telling you about this. And it's true. And it came from those scientists. But here's the thing science is driven by money. Compromises will be made for same said reason. And I'm not saying that it's all malintent, designed to either push population control or whatever else anybody wants to say. But the truth of the matter is, it was very much all very experimental at that point, but with the good intentions. Because here's the thing people forget with all of the blow up that happened from 2020 with Operation Warp Speed and all the jabs and all of that stuff, this was not new. Now, that particular form of everything where it was all synthetic, because that's the other thing too, when it comes to like the shots that we got as children, were all from live viruses. Okay. Well, you fast forward to where we are now, most of all of that is synthetic. And I'm not saying that's good, I'm not saying that's bad, but I am saying it is synthetic. And being synthetic, there are variables in there that they cause problems. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a laundry list of disclaimers and side effects on every pharmaceutical commercial on television, which is also a good load of bullshit because before you couldn't sell snake oil, right? So when it comes to the pharmaceutical ads and they have the big laundry list of all the possible potential side effects to ask your doctor stuff, is how they skate FCC rules and regulations on being able to put something unapproved and unapproved on air. Okay, by listing all those disclaimers and telling you where to go to learn more. Okay, that is the way they skated the system that's supposed to protect the public. So they made concessions for what? Money, period, full stop, right? But you go back and during that time, and as I was doing my own digging and research, and you go back to the 70s, I can't remember exactly which virus or which vaccine, which jab it was at the time that came out, but it was doing very bad things to people and children especially, right? Because you always, it's the children you start with. Same thing with the polio vaccine. It didn't just go, wow, Jonas Salk is awesome and it worked immediately. No, it didn't. But again, you didn't have the connected word of people to get the word out about certain things, right? But the point being is that Alicia and I were talking about this just yesterday. Okay, for instance, I cheated on the food thing, and Alicia and her boyfriend Aiden were like wanting some Wendy's for lunch, and I was like, okay, cool. So then Alicia and I we said, okay, well, we'll grab some too, just easy, one stop, be lazy. And that was stupid on my part. I cannot, with this type 2, I cannot do the fast food stuff. There's just flat too much sugar in there and various forms of sugar. And even something as simple as a Dave cheeseburger will boom, skyrocket me. Now I can make a cheeseburger here at the house and have zero issues. I buy any fast food hamburger though, all the sugar in the buns and the condiments and everything else they do absolutely jack up my sugar. So I went like through the roof yesterday. But one of the things when Alicia and I were talking about after the fact, which I didn't like do anything other than just get groggy, take a nap, and then wake up. But yeah, it's like I can get liquored up on a cheeseburger. What the hell? But anyway, when we were talking about what was it? Because I got like the vitamin water zero, the stuff that doesn't have sugar, but a different form of sweetener. Anyway, the vitamin water zero peach flavored, and we're talking. Well, maybe that was part of the because again, diet drinks they still impact your body the same way. Your liver thinks it's still getting what is that, right? My doctor and I had that conversation back in 2020 before they took him out. Anyway, the thing is, though, don't know for sure because we're just trusting a label. You don't know if that particular bag of syrup that's being used to feed the machine to dispense the drink is actually proper. We trust labels. And you should not trust labels because then you're just walking around in fear all the time and paranoia. Good God, we don't want that. But it's funny, we just blindly trust it. Blindly trust the science. Blindly trust. But to what end? And that's the thing. It just gets crazy. Yeah, it's just pretty nuts. But yeah, so all the stuff that's out there. See, I do not trust the doctors at all. To me, at this point, doctors are little more than the gatekeepers to the pharmacies. And I trust my pharmacist. Now that I do because here, if in Harrison, if you use the Walmart pharmacy, those guys in there are top flight. Not saying anything bad about anybody else in town, but I am saying that when it comes to Luke and Tom and the staff there at the Walmart pharmacy here, those guys are the best of the best because they will, you can talk to them and for real talk to them. And Alicia, they all know and love Alicia because if she has a question, she will go right in. And if something is prescribed by the doctor and she's like, that doesn't seem right, she will call, talk to one of the pharmacists, and they're like, yeah, it does seem a little wonky because the doctors are not pharmacists. Okay. So that's why I don't trust doctors. I don't. And my doctor was a cool doctor. If Damien, you might be familiar and remember Dr. Roy Lee. And Dr. Lee was amazing. He was a great guy. He was a straight shooter all the way across the board. He was like 80 something. And he was very good, very knowledgeable about how things were, how things have evolved for the better, and how some of the things that have evolved were crap. And he had no bones about telling anyone. and he was very good at what he did. So yeah, I find it just very disturbing to trust any of the institutions but I've always been that way, but nowadays more so because it's just more blatantly stupid, again, when you look at people like Tony Fauci, and then when you go back and look up what Tony Fauci did back in the 80s, and there's a track record there of not good things. And he's a little Weasley bastard. Why would anyone even just trust him blindly anyway? For real. I'm just saying. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, Doc Lee was great, but there's a story I won't tell on air right now, but things got sideways for Doc because we'd had a conversation, not because of him, but because of the systems, if you will, that Doc's no longer with us. I'll leave it at that for now. But there were conversations that happened before that were 100% real because I know, because he done got on me, and he was the one who diagnosed me with the type 2, and yeah, so we were having that conversation, and it was at the same time when we were all supposed to be wearing masks and staying away from each other and all this other nonsense, which he too believes is very much nonsense. Policy, it was funny though, because policy was that everybody had to wear a mask, and it was so funny, he just had it hanging on his ear. He's like, I'm wearing the damn thing. What? So anyway, that's a whole other thing. Boy, we went a hell of a way around the bend from simply starting off talking about, remember, online gambling is an addictive thing that can like screw up your life, and it's Super Bowl Sunday, to the latest machinations of myself in the streets of Harrison, Arkansas, on a roll at the Hotel Seville that I find to be amazingly fun on the horizon. 10 minutes away from the 8 o'clock hour. I'm going to wrap this one up, boys. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. I hope everyone has the most bestest. I'm glad you have great doctors at the VA there in Florida, because a lot of them are very, very good. I know that in certain instances that I've seen weren't so good, but that happens. Nothing's perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. Anyway, boys, I am going to roll up out cha because I got stuff to do and get rid of some of this coffee. But I'll see you guys in the morning, and we'll continue to play and have some fun.
I was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Bet a bug called his wealth, that's a lie. They spin, I sign my soul away just to let the wolf in. First surge was surgical,
a chemical high. Now I'm chasing goals across a blue-lit sky. Claimed I wasn't desperate, then I liquidated life. That's how a man turns a future into a knife. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Then the screen bled black with a velvet sheen, a loading bar stuttering predatory. Pick a silhouette of words and a pinch drop of whistles, with a voice like a grift and a tongue full of whistles.
Salutations, he hissed, I'm down out. Detect the craving and I engineer the high. You've been mainlining hope on a high, it's low. Now I've come to repossess everything you own. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Past everything's recreation, control. Here I've got a message from the very she's soul. My son's merged, the power is a relic. He sneered with a grin. I've mapped every fracture and